everyone. This is Yolanda, partner of PANews and PANONY. I'm glad to be here and with all the guests to spend the next 30 minutes on discussing about the restaking ecosystem. So let's get started. A quick intro. So your name, your fund, and what sector that you are focused on right now.
My name is Xiao, and I'm partner of Haskey Capital. So probably everyone knows about Haskey since you are in Hong Kong. So the capital team is more based in Singapore, and we've been investing in crypto and blockchain space since 2015. Till now, we've already got like more than 300 or maybe 400 portfolios already. So currently, there's still a lot of like focused sector for us. For example, like some big ecosystem like EigenLayer, and also like maybe Barachain or other like Solana ecosystem as well. Also, we're looking into Bitcoin ecosystem, not just Bitcoin layer 2, but also like BTVM or other more frontier technologies or long-term things. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Xin from GSR. We're probably the odd ones out here because we're not a fund per se. These guys are the real venture experts. We are more known as being a liquidity provider, but we help our clients through the whole life cycle. So we do invest early stage to build relationships with great founding teams. Then as they come to have their TGEs and be listed on centralized and decentralized exchanges, we provide liquidity for them and help their foundations to manage their treasury so they can reinvest in building. Those are the key things. In terms of what we look for when we invest, large total addressable market, great founding teams that have been in the blockchain space for a long time and are experienced, and areas that are generating real utility and helping us get to the point where we have mass adoption for blockchain applications, right? So, restaking LRTs and AVSs certainly tick all those boxes, and we're very active in this area. Thanks.
Hey everyone, I'm Louis from SevenX Ventures. So just covering all the infra space.
Hello. This is Gokhan from IOSG Ventures. I'm a managing director at the firm. IOSG Ventures, founded in 2017. We're a Web3 native research-driven investment firm, heavily investing in restaking and EigenLayer ecosystem. Although we mostly invest in infrastructure projects like 70%, 80%, we also do investments in all the different sectors in crypto, like gaming, social, app stack as well. That's pretty much all.
Nice. Welcome, you guys. So I heard that Gokhan, right? You mentioned already that you already heavily invested in EigenLayer ecosystem. So would love to start from you then. What features that you can see from EigenLayer, and what project maybe you can share with us that you invested? Because you said that heavily invested. We'd love to know that why and how.
Right, yeah. So, we're investors in EigenLayer itself and a couple of the liquid restaking projects on top, namely Renzo and EtherFi. So I think EigenLayer itself is obviously, like, people have been talking about it already today a lot, but it's one of the biggest innovations in the whole crypto space, probably like the third, where it creates this trust marketplace and enables a lot of middleware projects to use Ethereum security natively. We think this is a huge unlock for middlewares and infrastructure projects building on top of EigenLayer ecosystem. And when we started investing in EigenLayer ecosystem overall, we preferred to start with liquid restaking tokens as well. And the reason for that, for EigenLayer ecosystem to actually become meaningful, provide security to all the ecosystem projects, it has to first attract some liquidity to its ecosystem. And as there's more liquidity flowing in, that means more security for AVSs building on top. So that's why we built our investment strategy by starting with Renzo and EtherFi. And those are going pretty well. If you look at like some of the TVL of the liquid restaking tokens, they're already surpassing Ethereum L1 liquid staking tokens TVL. That's a pretty good start. But then moving forward, obviously, I think there are a couple of areas that we're looking at investing in EigenLayer ecosystem. For example, there are certain primitives in the EigenLayer ecosystem that are very important. I think LRTs are one. Risk management protocols are a couple of others that are getting into space. Operator management and operator infrastructure developer tools that are going to enable EigenLayer ecosystem projects to build on EigenLayer itself. Those are some of the interesting areas that we're looking at. But maybe I'll stop here and pass it to others.
Yeah, sure. Luis, maybe you can share more a little bit.
Oh, we are just like the support outlayer and Renzo for the EigenLayer ecosystem. I think Gokhan already covered the most benefits of the EigenLayer ecosystem, so I won't repeat. So in the future of EigenLayer, so we will really looking forward to see how will they design the fate of the AVS, and also how will they design the yields, where is the yields coming from. So I feel the EigenLayer is still very early. So there are more and more super exciting like design and research. We'll continue work on EigenLayer in terms of AVS design and others. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I agree with what Gokhan said. I think this is a massive value unlock. It massively reduces the sort of cost and the barrier of entry for people that want to build middleware, that want to build infrastructure layer protocols. We've served 300 odd projects over the last 10 years. We've seen founding teams struggle with that. They need to find a validator network. They need to have your own native token and design the tokenomics to be inflationary, to have the right incentives. That all goes away, right, with EigenLayer. And so we think the trend that this enables then is for people to then basically move towards what we see in the Web 2 space, which is a network of SaaS applications. Right? Any consumer app in the Web 2 space uses 15, 20 SaaS applications. They're composable, and it packages them up into a great product. I think we'll see that in the Web 3 space with AVSs coming online. And so we're also similar to IOSG, more historically looked more at the LRT space, but now shifting to look at the AVS space.
So yeah, I agree for all of the above. And for us, Haskey itself, we are investor of some of the operators like HashQuark, which is our affiliate, and also we invested in BlockDemand or Infstone and other operators. And on the demand side, on the supply side, we also invested in some LRT protocols like Rio or some of other ones. And on the demand side, also known as AVS, we invested in Layer and another smaller but similar services provider called Authentic. So they help to build rollups and to build all these applications on top of EigenLayer. And we will keep exploring that the whole world of AVS as well as the use cases. And at the same time, as investors or like funds, we are also participants in the whole ecosystem because we are big Ethereum holders. So we contributed almost 1,000 of Ethereum nodes and make them restaked in EigenLayer. So we're like big participants now. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So let's dive a little bit deeper about the topic, because speaking of restaking, people would think of, okay, this is give you a chance of staking, right? There must be some risks. So as from the perspective of an investor or whenever you do the investment, how can you manage the risk in the process? How do you see the potential risks that you can see from EigenLayer ecosystem? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So for us, as some of you may know, that Haskey is more like an institutional fund. So we are quite risk averse. In terms of venture investment, we will make sure there is a real demand, or for the project itself, it's not. It does have very high barrier in terms of either user acquisition or maybe at the technology level. So that's how we our investment thesis in primary market. And from the secondary market, as I just said, we are also having some staked position in the whole ecosystem. So for us, we won't be the number one user for a new ecosystem. So we will make sure everything is stable and the smart contract is safe enough. So we even do some code auditing for ourselves. And so that's why we put most of our position into the native staking. But at the same time, we were also we would like to be benefit from the yield or LRT yield. So we will put very small size into those LRT protocols as well. So that's how we control the risk.
Yeah, I think risk is a massive topic, right? Yes, massive benefits that we talked about earlier, but the risks are real. It's adding another layer of complexity. And the last bear cycle, I think, we learned that centralized finance, has a lot of concentration of risk. But to be honest, the risks are the same here, right? So it's principal agent risk. You're trusting, as a restaker, you're trusting the LRTs that you choose to select the right operators, select the right AVSs, asset and liabilities, and rehypothecation of your assets. Where what happens with that, the technical risk that Xiao already talked about. So it's the same thing. It's quite hard when choosing LRTs ex ante to know what the risk-adjusted return is going to be, but you can look at how they select their operators, right? And that might be initially quite centralized, and some of the more established operators. The technical implementations, we're seeing sort of DVT and TE trusted environments becoming more mainstream, and that might become table stakes. And then diversification across AVSs, right? I think maybe for LRTs, there's a lesson to be learned from Lido, because Lido, it didn't become the biggest LST by having the highest yield, by having the most number of integrations with DeFi platforms from day one. It did it because it was slow and steady, right? And it built trust and reputation, and now it's the dominant force. And so we think there's something to be said about that. We are similar to Haskey. We're very risk averse. We are long-term greedy. So we look at the integrity of the founding team, what they want to do, and not just chase quick profits. Are they building this in a conservative way and selecting their operator and AVS partners correctly? I think that helps.
Yeah, I think for us, to mainly to avoid the risk, our approach is we usually work with top researchers in the space from Ethereum foundations, from eigenlayer team, work with them very closely to understand the pros and cons of different design. We also co-write the articles with them, and also to discuss with them the pros and cons of each design. By doing that, we can participate of the design of the whole space to avoid the risk. And for the project investment perspective, we usually work with founders for more than 3 months, 3 to 6 months at least, before the making investment. We don't really take approach talk to them 2 times then just make investment. So by doing that, we kind of understand what kind of the latest research and what's kind of for each design there are pros and cons. And also by working with the team for long term, we basically understand avoid the risk of the founding team.
Right. It's pretty much similar, but I think what we should discuss is basically how it is now versus how it's going to be maybe in the next couple of years. Currently, the assessment of the risk, I think, is happening behind the doors in a way that you're talking to the teams and doing your own due diligence, talking with the top researchers in the space that are very much involved, and try to form your opinion on these protocols that you're interacting with. But then how eigenlayer ecosystem is going to look in the next 3 to 5 years is probably there are going to be so many AVSs that are being launched. And with these AVSs, probably there will be 28 the rule, right? A small number of AVSs are going to extract a lot of security from Ethereum, and there is going to be a long tail of AVSs, maybe a little bit more degen, a little bit more like risk taking. And for the top couple of AVSs, right, how the risk management is going to happen, the profile of these AVSs are going to be very different from each other. Some of them are going to be working on, let's say, oracles. The others are going to be on shared sequencer. The other one is going to be fast finality for rollups. So the profile is going to be different. And each of these AVSs, you have to standardize your risk management. And for that, I think we're going to see like a whole another ecosystem of risk management specifically tailored for eigenlayer ecosystem. It's going to be dashboards. It's going to be like certain projects looking at validator risk, etc. So we're very early on, but right now it's happening on a permissioned manner. I think it's going to become much more transparent and permissionless in the future.
Okay, that's very insightful. So, speaking of the dynamics like between AVS projects versus like LRT, do you think that AVS projects actually underrated like in the market right now, while LRT projects are still in the show?
I think, yeah, it looks like LRTs are still in the show, but probably that's not the right way to put it, right? Because this had to happen this way. You first had to bring some liquidity to eigenlayer from Ethereum L1. And these liquidity, as I said, is going to be used for securing the AVSs that are building on top. Without liquidity or security, there wouldn't be any AVSs who are interested in building an eigenlayer ecosystem overall. So I think it had to be this way, that there are a lot of LRTs, there's a lot of TVL being accumulated. And then right now, like I think have already reached a sufficient number that we're talking about couples of billions of Ethereum security that can be provided to AVS. And it's timely that we started seeing projects coming to us that they want to build AVSs. There are so many different profiles of AVSs, maybe we can talk about later, but I think it's just a natural process. That's just what we're witnessing now.
Yeah, I think we for the other AVS project, before by doing that, we need the standard of the asset. I think LRT is putting the standard of the asset. For example, like the different AVS can use similar LRTs. They basically can do the interoperability, and with the same standard effort, then we can secure the AVS. That reason why I definitely believe stand-up asset will come first, and then will be like the AVS will come next, basically secured by those stand-up assets. So yeah, and also I think restaking is very hot in the market. That's definitely the market thing. Once a topic becomes really hot, then people just like to invest at high valuation. So I think for us, we are quite cautious right now. I think it definitely restaking topic, AI topic are a bit too overhyped. So we are very cautious in investment right now.
Yeah, I agree. Does it work? I agree. It had to happen this way as well, just the upstream downstream relationship. But we are very excited about AVSs as well, because ultimately that's what unlocks the value. It's what allows the DApp creators to then be able to choose, the components, right? I think there's already a lot of innovation happening. Eigenlayers already, tried to solve the data availability issue themselves with the EigenDA as a proof of concept, as a use case. But like sequencing is an interesting area. We're looking at that. Alt layers doing interesting things there. Their peers also historically with a sort of centralized sequences, the L2s had to use their own sequencers. That created walled gardens that didn't allow cross-chain interoperability. And if we have shared sequencers in the future, that will make everything again more composable. I think that the previous speaker on the keynote mentioned that, so that's another area we are pretty excited about.
Yeah, completely agree that it's very normal for LRT gets popular first, because that's how you build the whole supply or security layer for the whole ecosystem. But I think AVS is also on the show as well. So since we are actively talking with founders, so we've already run into probably dozens of AVS, so-called AVS already. So I think it will catch up very soon. But we do care about what's the first priority for the whole ecosystem. What is in most demand for the whole ecosystem? Yeah.
Okay. So let's see from now, in a year time, what future set can you see in the EigenLayer ecosystem? And if you have any successful cases, no matter if you are invested in or just something that you are looking at that you want to share, like in the ecosystem, just feel free to let us know and share like why it's successful. Yeah. Do you want to start first?
Yeah, the successful, I would say, successful AVS, right?
FES or LRT.
LRT,
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, I actually am personally more interested in AVS part. So I suppose the first batch of AVS will still be like something like a middle layer or more like infrastructure. For example, like cross-chain function or DA function or like a rollup as a service, like what Layer is doing. And also I'm interested in some like small features. For example, how will they manage the problem for the problems like operator corruptions. For example, how to evaluate the cost of corruptions or the profit of the corruptions. So I think that might be the biggest problem to be solved at this stage. And later on, maybe for the second batch of AVS, probably there will be some vertical middle layers or tools. For example, the middle layers for AI sector specifically, or maybe for like gaming or DeFi sector specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of successes, I mean, we generally try not to like pick winners necessarily. Right? It's not our job. We try to stay neutral. We're more interested in growing the overall pie because as a liquidity provider, as a market maker, you also don't want to have very large VC tickets that then create potential conflicts of interest down the line. Right? So we tend to invest very small tickets to support great teams. In terms of the longer term trend, we're more interested in that, and I think it's going to be interesting, the dynamics between the upstream and downstream players, right? So the Ethereum sort of foundation mainnet, the LSTs, the LRTs, the operators, and the AVSs. Because I think right now, it's like 20% 26% of ETH is staked. That is probably going to go up with this trend. Also because, there's FOMO, right? People are getting higher rates of return holding other assets. They want to stake. They want to restake to get higher yields. The institutions might come in with ETFs. Okay, maybe not in 1 year, but in the longer term, there's been talked about in Hong Kong. Could you have a separate share class that also stakes and restakes? What will that create? It's gonna mean that the emissions rules that Ethereum Foundation needs to consider might have to be adjusted, because if everything gets restaked, that also means no Ethereum is being used for other things, and that's a problem. We don't think it'll get enshrined into Ethereum. That's not the mission of Ethereum, right? But we also don't think LST will go and try and act in the restaking side. Certainly not a Lido, because they want to stay thin. But some of the smaller players might get interested because they need to be more vertically integrated, right? So that's going to create some interesting dynamics up and down the chain, and some competitive or cooperative dynamics. So we'll wait and see.
I think so, because we are the VC, we are opposition, we choose winners. So as I mentioned, we made concentrate bet. We work with the team for a really long time. So for LRT space, we talk to every team. We choose Renzo. So we buy Renzo as the first round, the super early stage, and we hold a huge percent of Renzo. So that's our bet. So based on our bet, I definitely think our bet shows our belief Renzo will be the winner, but the market is also uncertain. So let's see what happens next year. And other than that, I can see a lot of super interesting AVS coming out nowadays. For example, there's an AVS called Ethos, who is actually helping bringing the Ethereum security to a Cosmos ecosystem. So that's a very interesting stuff. And also based on the sequencing stuff, we have the share sequencer, we have the other things. But the one AVS in EigenLayer ecosystem called Sorella, they are doing another approach doing sequencing. They are using application sequencing. Based application can choose their own sequencer to sequencing the transactions. So that's another way to solve the interoperability problem. And I can see a lot of the very innovative AVS are coming out, probably those kind of infrastructure applications we never seen before. So that reason why I'm so excited to see how eigenlayer ecosystem grows in next year.
Right. Yeah. Pretty similar. I think what really excites me about some of the upcoming AVSs is when they combine the modular, basically thesis with eigenlayer security, because modularization has been the biggest scaling narrative for the last couple of years. And as part of that, you have the DA, you have like shade sequencers getting in, you have all these different sorts of part of the stack. And for each of these stack, we don't want to build a completely new validator set that's going to have its own trust assumptions, right? So ideally, all of them are actually both echoing the value back to Ethereum, but also using Ethereum's the most decentralized validator set in the world for their security. So that's why I'm very, very excited about these like shade sequencing. Outlayer is doing a great job, basically combining the modular stack as well as the eigenlayer restaking stack. Fast finality, I think, is going to be a very exciting thing that a lot of rollups are thinking about nowadays, as well as some of the ZK projects in the space. So these sort of AVSs, I think, beginning with EigenDA, obviously, it's going to be the most exciting one, and it's going to unlock a lot of things. And beyond the AVSs, as I said, I think the developer tools that is going to make it easier to build AVSs, or it's going to make it easier for protocols and operators to get onboarded onto EigenLayer. I think those are also very exciting.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your insights for this panel. And I guess today is so far we discussed about the whole ecosystem and then the risk management and also the sector that you are focused on. So I'll leave you guys just back to a networking area and to see if anyone else have the follow-up questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much.